Producer and composer of the play called Silver Lining, Mr. Jack Piatico.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to express our sincerest condolences to the family, Ara, Ricky, Teddy, Kenneth, and all of you who really cared for him there in the hospital. I know who you were. We're so thankful. But anyway, before we introduce this next part of the tribute, I just wanted to say that Ricky and our family intersected in so many ways and so many directions. The first is his family was from Philan, and my third brother, there were 5 brothers. My third brother, Johnny, and his family lived there, so they would see each other. My brother's wife lived there, so they would see each other there. The next time was during those disco days, the dance days and the disco days, and 3 of my brothers, the second brother, Jimmy, the 4th brother, Joey, and Jet, were part of this group called the Vicor Dance. And I saw Ricky there, I see them dancing. He had really good moves. He could sort of dance, right? All that. So that was the other time. And then fast forward to the late 1990s and the early 2000s. We're involved in the art gallery business. And one of those evenings, a certain tall, distinguished, guapo-looking guy pops out and said he was interested in art. So, and of course, he had already made a name for himself, napakasikat pala, and all that. So even all the artists that was in the group, also known artists, they were so impressed that this gentleman who was in the movie world, in the theater world, would come and visit the sketching session of the artists. Of course, we were sketching so many things, from still life, flowers, to figures, and of course, some nudes as well. But I don't think Ricky came to that. He came for the art, the pure art of things. And he just didn't come once. He came so many times. And I could tell that he was really interested in art. And so that's how we became close friends. And again, fast forward to maybe 20 years later, I think it was late 2022, we had developed a story, a script, and a story about our time when we were in high school in the 60s and going on to one of the crazy days of the 60s, the flower power and all that. And then fast forward a little bit to the 70s, the turbulent times of the 70s, and then also to the time that we started having families and the stories with intergenerational conflicts. And so that was what the story was all about. And we were a fledgling theater company. To be honest, it was our first theatrical production ever. So we sent our script and we were looking for a lead. We asked a few people, and then our director, Maribel Legarda of PETA, and Jay Glorioso. Jay, where are you? Jay over there. Okay, guys, come on up, come forward. Jay, who was our co-executive producer at the time, said, we're hoping that this guy that we sent the script to will accept the script. And this guy's name was Ricky Dabao. So we were, lo and behold, a few days later, we received a reply. And the reply was, read the script, I'm in. So, grabe yung excitement namin at talon namin sa tuwa at galak. Because Ricky Dabao accepted to be the lead actor of our story, of our play, Silver Lining. And you know one thing about Ricky, when he puts his heart into something, sobra, grabe, talagang, you know, he was there, Jay will attest to this, my co-producer, he was there every rehearsal. And I know he gave up so much. Because Ricky is a high-earning actor on TV, and he's a high-earning actor even on movies. And he gave up more than a month and a half just to rehearse for Silver Lining 2023. So, and then, well, it did quite well. Many of you, I think, saw it. And then we decided to rerun it again in 2024. By the time we decided to run it again, we realized that he was already suffering from his ailment. You know, he had a lump in his throat, but unbelievably, even if he had that, and he was in and out of the hospital, he didn't want to give up the role. Every rehearsal, he was still there. He would be there, and sometimes he'd say, "Oh, I can't go tomorrow. I just need to take this out." Right? And he till the very end, we told him, you know, if it's okay with you, we're going to hire an alternate. So we got an alternate with his permission. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. But even after the run of the first week, I visited him in his house in Quezon City. And guess what he was doing? He was sitting on his the lounge chair, the reclining chair, and he was holding the script. I told him, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm rehearsing." You're rehearsing, okay? You have this big thing already. And he said, "Okay, you promised me." He told me this. "You promised me if I'm okay, I want to do the last night." I was so touched, and I was, you know, in tears and all that. But I didn't show that to him, of course. And I was so appreciative of that fact that he was willing to give anything and everything to whatever he committed himself to do. And so I guess, looking back, I was so impressed by what Father had said. The most important thing when death faces us is, did we make a difference? You know? And that we have something to live for? Did we make a difference? Mr. Ricky Davao certainly made a great difference to all our lives, including us, especially mine, you know, first project or something. And he really helped us. But in 2004, he came in as our line producer. So even though I'm sure he was in pain, he was, you know, talking to the cast, he was rallying everybody and getting them together. And he never abandoned us. He was always there. So Ricky, and purpose, I think his family was his purpose, his loved ones were his purpose. Ricky had that purpose. And the other thing I remember Father said, live as if your every day is your last. And Ricky did that with great excellence. So I would just like to show you what Silver Lining was all about. Those of you who weren't able to see it, we have like a 1-minute video. If we're ready with me, we show the video.